say the Pledge of Allegiance if you're able to stand. Go ahead. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Who's controlling? Is there a way to blow that up just a little bit so that I can see the... first thing, how can I not know this? Planning and Operations Committee minutes from January the 12th, 2021. Take a motion to approve. Thank you. And I'll second it. And so all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Great.
I add a note to that, Brendan. There was a connection problem with my system and SORTA during that meeting.
Okay. I take it somebody can add that. Not objection. All right. We start with good news. John Ravasio, take it away.
Good morning, everybody, and to the new board members, welcome to the most exciting committee of all committees. So with planning and operations, we try to give the board a quick update of things happening at Metro. And that took on, early on, a feel of what was happening with the operation. We reviewed performance data and upcoming initiatives. But with 2020, we really needed some good news, right? With everything happening in the world and with Metro as well. So that spirit has continued. So let's share with you a few things to brighten your day on this gloomy, snowy day. Safety first, right? We hope where you're going safe and sound this morning, or that you're bunkered in safe and sound as well. And safety is our top priority here at Metro. Just to give you a quick snapshot here of what we look at in terms of safety and safety performance. We've now annually analyzed our performance data and then compare it to prior years. And naturally, with the impact of the pandemic on our service, whether that be traffic or ridership, some of the data in the aggregate sense might be off when you look at prior years. But when we normalize it for, say, incidents or injuries and accidents per 100,000 miles, and then compare that now normalized to prior years, 2020 was a very, very successful year with fewer total and preventable collisions once normalized, and also fewer collisions and such compared to other large transit properties. So when everybody takes their data and normalizes it for the pandemic, we're still definitely ahead of the curve, ahead of trends, and still doing our best to continue to also find improvements with respect to safety. We also like to spotlight the heroes amongst us, the unsung heroes that work at Metro. Ella Holloway, operator Ella Holloway, recently retired after 30 years of service. And we'd like to share with you an excerpt from Ella's farewell letter, including her saying that it's not often when a group of co-workers can brighten a person's life, but that's exactly how Ella felt about her career and her co-workers. Ella, you will be missed. We thank you for your service. We celebrate you, and best wishes on a much-deserved retirement. With some more good news, we've got more new buses on the way. 10 more will go into service next week. They feature our updated exterior design, as well as customer amenities that we've been putting on the buses in recent years, charging ports for your devices, free Wi-Fi, improved seating, and then also the improved operator security shield. So we have tested a prototype. We have now installed that model on this new fleet of 10 buses, offering an additional, more permanent safety feature in terms of the environment there and the interaction, mainly between operators and passengers right there at the fare box. In the spirit of February and Valentine's Day coming up, we've got a few things to share in terms of how we love what we do. We love who we serve. We love our mission. The Customer Care Center, board members might recall that vision of extending Metro fixed route customer service to 7 days a week. That vision is now reality. We have combined two prior job classifications with prior duties now into one position, the Customer Care Center agent. We are staffing our Customer Care Center 7 days a week, and now this serves as a one-stop shop for all things Metro with respect to customers. Metro and access questions, access riders to make reservations, CPS extra service questions, commendations of employees, and such. So we're ready to go, full steam ahead with the newly revamped Customer Care Center. Brandy, how about some more love for transit coming up?
Yes, good morning, everyone. And to our new board members, my name is Brandy Jones. I'm our Vice President of External Affairs. This week is Ohio Loves Transit Week, and we are proud to say that we have partnered with 70 other transit systems in the state of Ohio, as well as the Ohio Public Transit Association to celebrate it this week and to showcase just how transit moves the state of Ohio. And this week, we'll be doing a number of things to thank our current customers, encourage new ones to fall in love with all the reasons that we know riding and using public transit is beneficial to our community. And so we will be having a customer outreach day at our Northside Transit Center on February 11th and at Government Square on February 12th at 11 a.m. both days, where we will be giving out candy grams, a free ride ticket, and encouraging our customers to post to social media using hashtag Ohio Loves Transit to share how transit moves them. We're also pleased to say that the Hamilton County Commissioner will be giving us a proclamation on Friday stating that Hamilton County it'll be Ohio Love Transit Week in Hamilton County on that day. So look forward to photos and more information about that as well. And we'll also be celebrating with our employees who are the heartbeat behind what we do every day. And they will have some candy grounds and other celebration things for them as well. And I also want to share that last night, Daryl had the pleasure of riding with one of our most dedicated customers, Tyler, who had a challenge of riding every single Metro route. And he made his last trip just last night, and Daryl took that final trip with him. And so we have so many people who depend on transit every day, like Tyler, and we're happy to celebrate them during this week. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brandy. Thank you to the board. Mr. Chairman, that's the news.
Thank you, Brandy. Thank you, John. Great reports. It's always nice to hear what's going on. Glad to hear about that. I think I'm going right back to you to tell us about the Reinventing Metro community meetings.
Awesome. Well, as hopefully you all know, we held a series of community meetings to talk about the Phase 1 improvements of the Reinventing Metro plan that will kick off in June of this year. So we held 7 meetings since January, and they ended on February 3rd. And so I have the stats. If we can go to the next slide. Okay. So as I mentioned, the 7 meetings were held via Zoom, and they also streamed live on our Facebook page, and they were viewable on our YouTube channel for anyone who was not able to connect during the time of that meeting. We have also held 5 elected official or municipality meetings with Blue Ash, Woodlawn, Lincoln Heights, Norwood, and the city of Cincinnati. And we're working to schedule more as we move through the process to talk with all those city administrators about the plan to see if there's any tweaks that they need to it. Maybe something has changed as we last made the plan this past year or two. So we're giving them the chance to put their input and feedback as well. We've also held 2 writer focus group sessions, and we've had a presentation with the Women in Transit Seminar and also the Sierra Club. I felt to add that to this presentation. And so we do look to hold more meetings in the coming months as well. Next slide. So as of last Friday, these numbers have increased since I submitted this presentation, but there were nearly 1,900 people who participated in those public meetings. We had about 170 who logged in via the Zoom, who participated with us live, and then the remainder watched either on our Facebook page or on YouTube, submitted their questions to us via email or social media. And we had 136 people who put their questions, their comments. We were so pleased to see comments during these sessions. So we certainly have seen a lot of community engagement. And so far, there has been 84 people who have taken the survey. The survey will remain open, so anyone who still wants to leave their feedback can do so. And there's still time for any tweaks that may need to be made to the plan. Next slide, please. So coming up, we're happy to partner with the Chamber on February 11th for a presentation that is targeted toward our business community, talking about how building a transit system will work for businesses. On February 18th, we will be having a presentation that will focus on our access service and what those improvements will be for our riders with disabilities. And on March 18th, we are partnering with the AARP for a presentation focusing on senior citizens. And as I mentioned, if there's anyone who would like a presentation to their association or small group, we are happy to do so. And we anticipate that we will have many more of those in the coming months as we prepare to roll out Reinventing Metro. Any questions? Okay. Well, thank you.
Thanks, Brandy. Couple of things. One is all of us, I think, who have followed Reinventing Metro or been a part of it for a long time are excited to get to the point where we are debuting new routes and having new buses and turning on some of the routes that are 24 hours a day. That's the exciting part, but the part that you're doing to talk to riders and stakeholders and people in the community is hugely important. So this period of time where we're going out and talking to people, I know you and the team have done a really great job to do this. This is crucial. It will be part of our culture in terms of how we operate or implement any of Reinventing Metro over the next 10 years. But it's so crucial. So I commend you guys for doing it. I know that community engagement is often difficult, but continuing to do it even during a global pandemic is really important. It's going to make our system roll out a lot better. So I'm excited for the action part, but I'm very appreciative of all of this part too. So thank you.
Brendan, I had a chance to join one of the meetings a few weeks ago, and it was incredibly informative and just really clear and well organized. I can't remember who moderated it, but I think he should moderate everything we do. But it was just a really very clear, very well communicated meeting with lots of great questions from folks. So kudos to everybody who was involved in this.
Thanks, Heidi. That was Dave Etienne, our marketing director, and he is the voice of Metro.
Everybody loves Dave. All right, we will. Did he bring a small bus that he drives around in? No. Okay. January 2021 ridership report. Who am I going to, Matt?
Matt Mormon. Yeah, this is Daryl. Matt Mormon is our manager of scheduling, and once a month he always goes through our ridership report for both the fixed route and the paratransit, and he'll talk a little bit about the effect on the pandemic on our ridership. Matt?
Thank you, Daryl, and thank you, Mr. Cole. The ridership for January of 2021, we'll talk about fixed route first. So the total ridership for the month of January was 464,119, and that's about 24.7% lower than our budgeted projection. And the majority of those rides took place on our local routes, 451,000. Our express made up 12,912 of those rides. And similarly to previous months, it's important to note that our original projections did include CPS ridership. CPS was fully remote for the entire month of January, which would have contained about 19 school days. And using our pre-pandemic levels, that would have had the effect of about 200,000 rides or so on our service. CPS is planning to return to a blended model here, I believe, next week on the 16th. So hopefully next month's report will include some CPS ridership. So moving on, passengers per hour on local service was 9.4. That's about 11.3 lower than our budget, which is 20.7. And passengers per trip on express service was 3.2, or 13 below the budget of 16.2. And then both of those metrics, I will say, are slightly up from the previous month, so we are seeing some ridership come back slowly. Average weekday ridership was just under, was 18,836 rides. Saturdays, 10,700, and Sunday, around 7,500 rides. And our total missed trips for the month of January was 82. Of those 82, 35 were due to a mechanical issue, 16 due to no operator being available. But Metro did operate 99.8% of all of our regularly scheduled trips. And moving on to our paratransit, also known as Access. Access ridership for January was 7,146 rides. That's about 29% below our projections. 6,575 of those took place on weekdays, 323 on Saturdays, and 248 on Sundays. And of course, January being the first month of the year, year to date and the monthly are identical. And that is the ridership report.
Thank you, Matt. To the board members, these we'll do this monthly. I believe quarterly we get route. Is that right? When we get the route information, Matt's nodding, so that you can see how each route is doing, which is instructive if you want to know how the Fort Lee does against 17 or whatever. Those are interesting information. Daryl, John, Matt are available to you if you have questions that you want to learn about why route does what it does, goes which way it does. These are great chances to ask questions and get to know the system as well. So thank you again for being here. Okay, we have some, we're skipping, I think, we skipped some things from TJ that we'll do in March. And we're gonna go right to a lease extension with Sims Township. So Khaled.
Yes, good morning, everybody. And welcome to the new board members. SORTA leases several locations around the county that we use as park and rides where customers will park their cars and then take one of our routes to continue their trip, whether to downtown or elsewhere. And usually we have contracts with the owners of these properties. And in most cases, there's we pay a fee, a monthly fee for those locations. One of these locations is the Sims Township. We have a contract with them since 2018. The terms are for 3 years, with 2 additional terms of 3 years each. We're at the end of the first 3 years, and would like to execute the option for 3 more years. So the recommendation from the staff is for the board to authorize the CEO or the CFO to execute the option for 3 years. We have 25 parking spaces there. It's $10 a month per space, and the contract is for three more years. That comes to a total of $9,000, and to be funded with local funds. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, I'll go ahead and move this and take a second if there's somebody who's willing to do that.
I second it for you, Brenda.
Thank you, ma'am. We have it's been properly moved and seconded, and now we can take questions about the item. Any questions about this? You'll see these throughout the year. We have, I don't know, a couple of dozen of these, maybe it seems like, throughout the system where we rent spaces for people to park and be able to get the bus system. So a good part of the system.
This is Daryl for our new board members and orientation. We'll go through where all of our park and rides are, where all of our transit centers are, and which ones are leased and which ones are owned. So you'll get a complete update on all of our facilities in your orientation.
All right. Okay. So this is a voice vote?
No, you're just making a motion to move to the full board for the full board next week. So, and also add this to the consent agenda.
So we don't need to vote or anything? We don't do it all those in favor?
Yeah, you do all those in favor.
Okay, got it. All those in favor of moving this to the board on the consent agenda, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Great. I guess, you know what, it occurred to me, a couple of people have said welcome to new board members. I didn't officially say welcome to new board members because so many of you were on the call last time, but I should say that. Welcome to the Planning and Operations Committee meeting. Apologize for a lack of hospitality. We will move many of these items to a consent agenda, and I believe we talked about that at the board meeting, but for anybody who missed the board meeting, several years ago, we implemented a consent agenda so that we don't have to vote on every contract that comes through. Sometimes there can be a lot of them. Things that are fairly routine items we put on the consent agenda. We vote that through in one motion at the board meeting on the following week. Any board member can pull something off the consent item, so it's not meant to stifle any discussion or debate on an item. If there's something that you're interested in talking about further, just say you'd like to pull something off the consent agenda, and that does it. We have a formal vote and discussion on the item separately. That's how those go. Okay, so this is a approval for brake kits and replacement part contracts. See, this is the exact kind of thing that probably doesn't need a 25-minute debate at a SORTA board meeting, but if you want to, feel free. Who am I going to on this one, Daryl?
This is Jeff Munstock. I'll be presenting this. So this action item is seeking approval for a one-year contract for brake kits and parts. The contract, this is essentially something we already purchased through our inventory and procurement processes. This was just our inventory team put a lot of work into packaging this into a one-year contract. That way it provides some consistency and cost benefits to something that we're already buying. Our brake parts, it's easy to predict what we're going to replace, so it was easy to package this, and this was a trial run essentially as far as something that the inventory team wants to do moving forward. It's a one-year contract not to exceed $197,000. It was awarded to 3 vendors that bid on there were 6 total that were evaluated in the procurement process. 3 were awarded. Fraser Tool and Gauge, they're achieving 54.3% DBE goals for the contract. And again, it's a one-year period, and it's just kind of a pilot program that our inventory team wants to do more for other parts that we purchase, just for consistency and cost savings. This contract is estimated to save approximately $24,000 over the year of the contract just by packaging it the way it was. Is there any questions?
This is Daryl. I'll add one of the benefits to this is as we do brake work, instead of going and requesting 4 or 5 different parts from the storeroom, they request a kit, and that kit will then have everything in it to do the brake work. So this will also save some time in our maintenance department.
Correct.
Okay, I'll move this, and if there's a second. Anybody can second.
Second.
Thank you. Properly moved and seconded. And any questions on this item? Okay, all those in favor of moving this to the board consent agenda, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right. On to the next one. Glenway Crossing Transit Center.
Good morning, Mr. Cole. This is Donna Atkins, the Chief Administrative Officer.
Hey, Zach, how are you today?
I'm good, and you?
Pleasure to see you on the screen.
Well, thank you. I too shoveled my driveway this morning and decided to stay home. However, I have a good item to present today. I'm very pleased to present this item. I will give you a brief history so you understand why I'm so pleased. In 2009, the board approved a 20-year lease for Glenway Crossing Park and Ride Transit Center. That lease cost us $1.7 million. And at the time that we signed the lease, it was 100% funded with federal funds. Those federal funds are no longer in place, and the FTA no longer provides funding for leased premises. So we began negotiating with the owners of that property to see if we could purchase it. We started back in August. We are now to the point of we have a contract that is in fairly good shape. We're doing a little bit of negotiation, but overall, I think we've agreed to terms. When we started this negotiation, I proposed a cost of $900,000, which was approximately the balance that we would owe them on the lease. So they have accepted that purchase price, but I also was able to obtain, currently we have about a half of an acre, a little more than a half an acre. We're getting 1.28 acres. So basically what we're doing is purchasing the property as opposed to paying the lease. We're buying out the lease. At the end of it, we own 1.28 acres. This is a key transit center on the west side of town that is part of Reinventing Metro. And so I would like the board to authorize the CEO or the CFO to purchase this property. Any questions?
That sounds fantastic. I have no questions. I would move this and see if there's a second. See if there's questions.
I'll second.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. Any questions on this item? Okay, so Donna, this sounds tremendous. Congratulations. Sounds
Thank
like
you.
buying ourselves a little asset. And I assume, Daryl, in the orientation for everybody, you'll go through the Reinventing Metro plan in depth. Is that right? So people can see where these sorts of things fit in.
So what we're planning is we're planning an orientation to just get them up to speed on all things board affiliated or associated, and then we're going to do a separate meeting on just Reinventing Metro. There is so much in both of those that we don't want to overload the new board meetings, new board members all in one meeting. So we're going to have two meetings. One will be focused around all things Metro, and then there'll be a separate meeting for Reinventing Metro that will get into depth and real details.
I might even make a suggestion that second meeting about reinventing with all board members who are interested and might want a little refresher course on what's coming. That might be I know you have to be careful from a notice perspective, but I don't know that would be terribly difficult to do, but there are pieces of it that I would even just like a refresher on. So maybe think about that.
And any of the board members that would like a refresher on just the orientation, they're more than welcome to come as well. And if we have to do more than one meeting, we're happy to.
Okay, great. All right, so all those in favor of moving Glenway Crossing Transit Center purchase and authorizing the purchase of this, we'll put this on the consent agenda for next week. Please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same rate. All right.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Brenda, this is Gwen again. I really like Daryl and your suggestion about ensuring that all board members are included in any of those trainings or opportunities.
Great, thank you.
Brenda, can I just ask a question while we're on that topic? I know I got a flurry of calendar invites. Do we have dates, Daryl, on those trainings yet?
We have a date on the orientation. Chanel, do you have that?
I'm sure it's on the calendar. I just don't have it up on my screen right now. Okay. As far as the Reinventing Metro one, I wasn't sure if I got that one.
You have not gotten the Reinventing Metro one yet. That will be coming out shortly.
Okay, great.
And we're happy to do more than one if we have to.
Right. Thank you, because I think it's important, especially for new board members, to meet all the other board members and not just come to a meeting and meet us. I think there needs to be an opportunity to meet just coming to board meetings. So the orientation and being a part of those trainings would be great. I'm like Brenda, I can pressure.
Yeah, okay. Okay, all right, let's go into item number 9. Just for the record, this one will not go on the consent agenda. This is a pretty meaty item that we'll have a little bit of discussion about at the full board discussion. I think I turned this to to Daryl, but then Ted, or how do you want you gentlemen want to do this?
That'll work. Thank you, Brendan.
Yeah, this is just for big picture from a board perspective. You'll see these rarely because we don't do fare adjustments too terribly often. But there's a pretty formal process that our organization goes through. It's dictated by federal law. This is completing a process that started late last year. So, Daryl, why don't you take us through where we are?
So currently, our fare structure is extremely difficult. And part of reinventing Metro was to simplify our fares. Currently, we have 6 different fares. We have a downtown circulator. We have an inside the city of Cincinnati. We have an outside the city of Cincinnati, but inside the county. We have an express fare that's inside Hamilton County. Then we have a separate fare for Butler County, a separate fare for Warren County, and a separate fare for Claremont County. Part of the reinventing Metro plan, and it makes sense for all riders and potential riders, is to simplify the fare. So we are driving the organization to a fare for local routes, a fare for express routes, and then a fare for county routes, which will really simplify our fare structure. There is a fourth. It is a downtown circulator. It's a 50 cents route, and it just circulates downtown, connects the parking down by the river to the CBD, Central Business District. So we went out to the public to get public feedback. We had to do Title VI. So Ted is going to talk about, what we're going to recommend to the board for a new fare structure. He's going to talk about the Title VI and public involvement and our public comments. So then we can take that to the full board. Our plan is, if the board approves this, is to roll out the new fare structure in April. Ted?
And I want to jump in one thing you said, Daryl, when you mentioned county routes, just to be clear, when we say county routes now, we mean non-Hamilton County routes. So the Butler, Claremont one. The key takeaway from this, and I know most of the folks who are part of our organization now voted and were supportive and tracked this levy closely. A big part of what we did was to promise folks that we would simplify the routes, and anybody who lives in Hamilton County who wants to move around Hamilton County pays one fare, and that's probably the biggest accomplishment here, and it's exciting to see it. So let me go ahead to Ted now.
Ted, before you start, one of the other things, Brendan, if you don't mind, for our new board members, Claremont, Butler, and Warren, those routes are funded by those counties. They're funded by Claremont, Warren, and Butler. And we'll talk about that in orientation as well. I'm sorry about that. Go ahead, Ted.
Thanks, Daryl. Thanks, Brendan. Chanel, if you can bring the presentation up. Yeah, so I'm going to describe the proposed fare changes and also the Title VI fare change equity analysis that was prepared by the SRF Consulting Group out of Minneapolis. So again, I'll do a brief introduction. Then, like I said, I'll describe the fare simplification proposal, the requirements of the fare equity analysis. It does require public engagement, so I'll describe the public engagement efforts and results. Go through the fare equity analysis methodology, the fare equity analysis results, and then the summary and conclusion. Next slide, please. All right, so as introduction, in May of 2020, Hamilton County voters approved a sales tax, which is a county-wide sales tax for new funding for SORTA. As Brendan mentioned, as part of that, part of the plan was then to simplify the fares, to have a single fare for all of Hamilton County. In September of 2020, staff recommended a fare simplification proposal that would achieve that single base fare for all Hamilton County local bus service. And as part of the Title VI, the Civil Rights Act of 1964, Title VI requires that a fare change equity analysis done for any fare change that is proposed by a transit system. As Daryl mentioned, if this change is approved, it will go into effect April 4th of this year. Next slide, please. This is a brief narrative description of the fare simplification proposal. I'll go into more detail in the following slides. But as Daryl mentioned, it's going to be a single fare for all Hamilton County service for local service. There will then be a single fare, separate fare for Hamilton County Express service and another separate fare for Suburban County Express service. Now, part of the simplification will be Metro currently has 19 express routes, 19 routes we consider express routes. Many of them don't operate a long stretch on the expressway. They operate on the local roads, and they operate primarily within Zone 1. So 9 of those current express routes will be redesignated as local service. As such, then they will be paid the local service fare, not the express service fare. Another major change in this fare proposal is that all transfers will be free. Transfers will be electronic. There would no longer be any paper transfer slips. Electronic transfers will be available via smartphone app and also with a new 5-ride ticket that would be available for purchase. And those transfers then would be included automatically in the purchase of your one-ride local fares at that point. Then Daryl talked about the simplification. Actually, we currently have 32 fare combinations. The fare simplification plan will reduce that to 8 fare combinations. You'll see later that we actually have 43 fare categories. That includes 11 pass types we currently have. All right, so this is I believe you were given as part of the board mail out a table which shows the proposed fares. I'm going to walk through some of those and highlight some of the biggest changes here. The main one is that what we currently call Zone 1, City of Cincinnati. Local service in that area will become Hamilton County local service, thanks, you know. So the change is that fare will go from $1.75 to $2. One thing you'll notice in this fare simplification is that the fares for some riders is going to increase, the fare for other riders is going to decrease. So in simplifying the fares, it makes it a somewhat complicated change, with the end result being a dramatically simpler fare structure. So Zone 2 Hamilton County, which currently is a $2.65 fare, for local service, that fare will be decreased to $2. As I said, we're going to have a new fare category or new service category, Hamilton County Express service. Currently, people riding those routes pay either a $1.75 fare or a $2.65 fare. For those routes that will remain express routes, Hamilton County Express routes, the fare will be $2.65 for all people who board those routes. Now, for those routes that are currently express routes that will be redesignated as local service, the fare for those routes will be $2, and they'll go up into the Hamilton County local category. We currently have service to Harrison, Ohio, Butler County, Clermont County, Warren County. All those services have separate fares currently. Harrison's actually part of Hamilton County, so it will become the Hamilton County fare. Now, currently, we only operate express service to Harrison, so there won't be any $2 fare to Harrison. But the Harrison Express service, Route 52X, the fare will be $2.65, a reduction from the current $3 fare for that route. All of our suburban county expresses, which currently have 3 different fares, you can see there, those will all have a single fare of $3.75. Next slide, please. All right, these are some of the additional fares that we currently have. Route 72 is a summer-only Kings Island Express service. It's primarily a reverse commute service. And it has a special fare right now, $2.25. That it's going to be included now in the Hamilton County Express category with a fare of $2.65, which, as you see, is a 40-cent increase. The Riverfront parking shuttle, Route 85, the fare will remain at 50 cents. We will, of course, maintain our half-fare program. What's shown here is the half-fare level for Hamilton County local service, which will increase from 85 cents, which is roughly half of $1.75, to $1, which is 1/2 of the $2. The half fare for Hamilton County Express service, which is a $2.65 fare, will be $1.30. The half fare for suburban county service will be $1.85. We currently have a special fare for college students of $1. That fare is not going to change. It will now become part of the half fare level, you might say, with the fare remaining at $1. Now, access service fare is set at $2, the Hamilton County base fare. So that fare will go to $4. Access currently has two fares, $3.50 and $4.50. The majority of access riders actually currently paying the $4.50 fare. So this will actually be a fare reduction for the majority of access riders. One note, the Title VI requirement is only for fixed route service, so the access service fare change is not included as in the Title VI fare change equity analysis. Next slide, please. All right, so these are some of the past prices, just the idea of the change in past prices. In our past prices, the current day pass for Zone 1 is based on 2 rides and 2 transfers. That's why we have the $4.50 amount. It will now be just based on 2 rides with free transfers. So that will go down from $4.50 to $4. For Zone 2, currently we have a $6.30 day pass for Zone 2. Since Zone 2 becomes Zone 1 for Hamilton County Local Service, that pass price will be the same, $4 for the Hamilton County Local Day Pass. We offer a day pass for Metro Tank that offers rides on all Hamilton County Local Service and all tank service. That will remain at $5. Looking at the 30-day pass, excuse me, the 30-day passes, Hamilton County Local, which is currently Zone 1, will go from $70 to $80 for a 30-day pass. Zone 2, again, because it all rolled into Zone 1 or Hamilton County Local, will also be $80. We'll have a new Express Pass, 30-day Express Pass. That is based on a $265 fare, so that's $106 for the 30-day pass. Next slide, please. And then the suburban counties, which currently have 3 different fares and 3 different price points for the 30-day passes, will have a single price of $150, for the 30-day pass. The 30-day pass for Metro Tank, again, it's valid on all Hamilton County Local Service and all tank service. That price will remain based on our negotiations discussion with Tank at $105. A Fair Deal monthly sticker, which is eligible for all Fair Deal Metro Veterans Program folks, the price of that will go from $38.50 to $40. I should mention that pass is actually an all-zone pass, that sticker, so it is comparable to the $150 pass. You can ride any Metro service on that $40 monthly pass. Next slide, please. All right, so then I wanted to show you a little bit of some of the new media, some of the new passes that will be available in the fare simplification plan. We will offer a new half-fare day pass for folks that pay the 85 cent. This is only for Hamilton County Local Service. So we are offering for the first time a day pass for half-fare passengers. As I said before, we have a Hamilton County Express day pass. It'll be $5.30, obviously 2 times $265. We'll offer a day pass for Suburban County Express service, $7.50. We're going to introduce a new 5-ride ticket. It's $10. It's for Hamilton County Local Service, and that 5-ride ticket will have embedded in it the 2 free transfers, so that if you don't have a smartphone and you want to use the free transfer, you can use the 5-ride ticket and still take advantage of the free transfer. And then repeating again, the 30-day pass for Hamilton County Express is technically a new item we're offering. Next slide, please. I mentioned the express routes that will be redesignated as local service. This is the list of those 9 routes. For the most part, they primarily serve Zone 1. They do serve Zone 2 to some extent. And based on our analysis of the express routing on them, the local service routing, and the ridership, these routes will be redesignated as commuter service or Hamilton County Local Service. The X will be removed from the names of these routes. That will remain within 7 routes that will be Hamilton County Express routes and the 3 Suburban County Express services. And next slide, please. All right, getting into the Title VI fare equity analysis. this FTA circular lists all the requirements of this. There's a requirement to have the agency has to have a fair change policy. We reiterate that policy every 3 years by Title VI program update. The point of this analysis is to determine is there a disparate impact or a disproportionate burden of the fair change, disparate impacts on minority populations, disproportionate burdens on low-income populations. We're required to do public engagement. We're required to use onboard survey data for this analysis. We can't just use demographic data. And the policy, the Title VI requirement, is that the governing body approves both the Title VI analysis and the fair change. Next slide, please. All right, so again, the Title VI requirements that any fair change, a fair change equity analysis is required. And it requires the determination whether a disparate impact on minority population or a disproportionate burden on low-income population exists. The SORTA, DIDB, whatever effective rate threshold is a 25% change in the average percentage fair for a category or for the average fair. And I'll get more into detail with that, exactly how that works in the next following slides. Okay, first though, the public engagement efforts. We did a public meeting on November 18th, during the pandemic at the convention center in a very large room, so we were well socially distanced. We also requested input by email, fax. We had an online survey, regular mail. This is the 2020 public engagement effort. We had a total of 69 total responses. 65 of those were part of the online survey, including the comments in those surveys. We got a total of 44 comments. This sends a real brief summary of those comments. We did get 12 requests of the 44 to not increase fares. We did get 4 suggestions to further discount fares. 10 of the suggestions were related more to customer convenience. And there were things like all fares should be even dollar amounts, things like that. 10 of the comments were just compliments about the proposed fare changes. And 8 of the 44 comments were general comments that were more service-related, weren't really about the fare change in particular. Next slide, please. So one of the questions we asked to gauge public opinion was just what was the overall impression of the proposed fare change. You see about 50%, that's the green bar, of the respondents, they thought the fare change would make writing the bus easier for them. And then the yellow bar on the right, that's about 17 or 18% of the respondents did say they thought the fare change would make riding the bus more difficult for them. So the majority are in favor of it, but there are some who were not especially pleased with the proposal. Next slide, please. Okay, so this slide is a complex slide, very large, but we asked people, I think there's 11 different aspects of the proposed fare change listed here. And we asked people to rate them on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being they really favor them or support them, and 1 being they don't like them at all. And if you you scan down this, you'll see that almost all of these aspects were generally favorably received. Some of them more than others. You see that obviously the top one, going to a single fare for Hamilton County, was very well received. The ones that got the least support, interestingly, were the express fares. Now that's the 3rd line and the 4th line there are the express fares. And even though between ratings of 4 and 5 are still over 50%, relative to the others, those were sort of less well supported than the other aspects of the proposed change. But overall, I think the proposed fare simplification is well supported by the public. But again, some people would have fare increase with it, and so some people were not as quite as thrilled with it as others. Next slide, please. All right, now that was information from the 2020 public engagement. The Title VI fare equity analysis is actually based on our 2018 onboard passenger survey. We actually conducted this in January 2018 for a prior fare change proposal that was not actually implemented. That data is still good and would be better than anything we could have collected last year during the pandemic. And so we used this data for the Title VI fare change equity analysis. This first slide shows that we had almost 4,700 total responses that onboard survey, but not all of them provided enough information to be used for this equity analysis. But of those, we had nearly 4,400 responses, which were complete enough to be used for this analysis. And again, we're focusing here on minority riders and low-income riders. So one thing we wanted to verify was that in the subset of the surveys that were usable, that the percentage of minority riders and low-income riders is the same as in the overall survey respondents. As you can see here, the numbers are virtually identical. So we're quite comfortable that the surveys we had to throw out were incomplete to not bias our results. Next slide, please. All right, so very briefly, the fare change equity analysis is a four-step process. First, we determine the number and proportion of people in each of the fare categories. We then determine the fare change for each of those fare categories. We also calculate the average change for each of the demographic groups, the minority and low-income populations. We compare the changes for minority and low-income populations to the average fare change to determine if there is a disparate impact on minority population or a disproportionate burden on the low-income population. If there is, if we have either of those findings, then need to determine if that disparate impact or disproportionate burden can be avoided, minimized, or mitigated. Next slide, please. Did I lose audio? No, there we go. All right. So again, step one, as I said, we look at all the different fare categories and how the fare is going to change. As I said, there's actually 43 unique fare combinations in the current system. 32 of those are fare combinations, 11 are multi-ride passes. So we look at each of these 43 unique combinations. 13 of the 43 represent at least 1% of our riders based on the 2018 survey. And it's those 13 that then we focus on because they represent the vast majority of the Metro riders. Next slide, please. All right, so this slide shows those 13 fare categories, which actually represent individually more than 1% or at least 1% of the total ridership. If you go down to the bottom, Chanel, you'll see that these 13 categories, well, it's only 13 of the 32 or even 13 of the 43 overall categories, they do represent almost 94% of all Metro riders and actually more than 95% of both minority and low-income riders. So it's safe to say that this is the vast majority of Metro riders are in these categories. So this slide compares the percentage of these, for each category, the percentage of the total ridership and the percentage of both minority population and low-income population. I want to direct your attention to the third row, which is Zone 1 Cash Plus Transfer. That's 22% of our minority riders, 23% of the low-income riders, but only 19.9% of total riders. So as we'll see in the next slide, that's the one fare category which qualifies as being disproportionately used. In this case, only by low-income riders. It's very close to being disproportionately used by minority riders as well. This shows that minority ridership is 2.4% higher than the overall ridership percentage, and low income is 3.5%. And again, so that does qualify it as a category that's disproportionately used by low income riders. So if this fare category, if the fare change was more than 25% greater than the fare change of the average, this would then qualify as a disproportionate burden. However, this particular fare group will have a 25-cent fare reduction, so that will mean that the burden is not disproportionate because it's actually a fair reduction. Next slide, please.
Ted, I hate to interrupt you here. I know you are going to go through this process and showing the calculations are critically important. I have to leave for a 10 a.m. Meeting, so I'm going to ask Gwen if you'd be willing to shepherd the rest of this. I do want to say I fully support the direction in which we're going. This is, I believe, keeping a promise that we made to people who supported the Reinventing Metro plan. The fare structure as a whole was a key part of the work that we discussed with groups like the Better Bus Coalition, like the Human Services Chamber, like other organizations in town who were really instrumental in helping this come together, getting to one county-wide fare that treats people fairly so that you don't have to pay more if you live just over the border and not in North College Hill is a huge, huge win. And to your point about the federal rules that require us to do this equity calculation, which is hugely important and actually a great thing that we do, that it is showing that we're decreasing the fare for so many people, I think is a huge win. So I just want to offer my support to it, knowing that I hope there's questions and dialogue. It's a lot of information. I would say my perspective is, having been involved in the organization in 6 years, though it's a long presentation, a lot of details, Ted, it's very thorough. This is going to feel a lot simpler for our riders, and that's a good thing. They're going to be able to know that generally the majority of trips that they're taking are $2. And that's great. If you're on an express route, it's a different route. So I'm super excited about this. I appreciate you going through it. I'll turn it back to you and apologize for having to leave early.
Thanks, Brendan. And I will attempt to move through this reasonably quickly, but as Brendan said, it is because we have a complex fare structure. Currently, the analysis is fairly complex, or at least complicated. So the next step is calculating the averages to determine what's the average effect on both the general population and the minority population and low-income population, and then apply the 25% threshold. Next slide. All right, so this is the average calculations. The top lines are, again, just showing the percentages for the entire survey population. What you see here, the column to the left, which is all riders, is that overall this will be about a 5-cent decrease in average fare for all riders from $1.97 to $1.92. For minority riders, which is the second column, the change is actually a little bit greater, from $1.97 down to $1.89 average fare. So that's an 8-cent reduction in average fare. And I'll move over to that fourth column, low-income riders. Their fare will go from about $1.95 to about $1.88, about a 7-cent decrease. So you can see the average fare change for minority riders and low-income riders on average will actually be greater. It's more of a reduction than for the average riders. So then you see the conclusion there at the bottom of the table that there is no disparate impact or disproportionate burden because they do not go over the 25% threshold. In fact, there's a benefit to the minority and low-income ridership population. Next slide, please. All right. We were a little concerned, and Title VI rules say that we need to look at media as well. So we're concerned about the free transfers. We think it's a great idea. It will really help it work, and believe it will work. But there's concern that the main use for the transfers will be on smartphones. Fortunately, in the 2018 survey, we asked people about smartphone ownership, as you can see. And so then for what we've done here is we're only looking at those folks who currently in the survey were using cash and transfer. So they paying cash and using the transfer. For all riders who did that, there's just under 82% of them owned a smartphone. The minority riders actually owned smartphones at a slightly higher percentage, 83.7. The low-income percentage is a little bit lower than the 81.8, down at 80.6, only 1.2% difference. Still well within the 25% threshold. So based on this, there is no violation, no concern with the title from Title VI equity analysis standpoint with the smartphone transfer. I will let you know that we did, part of the reason for the 5-ride ticket is so that folks who don't have a smartphone also have access to the free transfer capability as well. Next slide, please. Okay, so step 4, if there is a disparate impact or disproportionate burden finding, yes, we need to take steps to avoid that. As we can see here, there are no findings of a disparate impact or disproportionate burden, so we don't really need to, didn't need to do step 4 in this analysis. Next slide, please. All right, so a quick summary of the 13 fare types used by 1% or more. One of those qualifies as being disproportionately used by low-income riders. However, because this is a fare decrease for this fare category, and actually 11% fare decrease versus a 2.7% fare decrease overall, there is not a disproportionate burden on this fare category. And then next slide, please. So then in conclusion, we'll see with that one fare category, and based on the averages, there's no disparate impact on minority populations or disproportionate burden on low-income populations based on this Title VI fare change equity analysis. So that's the conclusion of this obviously lengthy presentation. I realize I went through it fairly quickly, but certainly if there's any questions, comments, feel free to take them now.
Are there any questions or comments? Are you going to provide the same presentation at the board meeting in its entirety?
It's my understanding, yes.
We can slim it down a little bit for the board meeting, but it's real important. The federal requirements require us to go through all of this with the board. We can slim it down a little, but not a lot.
No, I understand that. That's why I asked the question, because it does have some ramifications.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions or comments about the report? Just a question. Did I understand you saying that the low-income population had less phone, I guess the iPhone, didn't have access to the iPhone?
Yes, the difference is very slight. It was 8.6% versus 81.8% or whatever it is. So they actually, the smartphone ownership, this is based on the 2018 survey, was actually surprisingly similar. So it's a very slight difference, but yes, there is a slight difference.
That's interesting, because I know that the low-income community, I mean, the phone is their computer and their connectivity to everything.
Yes, and it's, certainly possible that since 2018, smartphone ownership has increased, so it could be higher than the rates shown here.
Right. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, Larry Thompson. One question about the changing from the express route to the local routes. Will that change the wait time between buses?
No, it will not. The service change is not tied to the fare changes. No, it won't. One thing we're doing here is moving toward hopefully providing some incentive for folks to move more toward passes and fare media. And in the long run, that will actually improve operations and speed up our operating time. But no, there will be no change in the time between buses.
Thank you.
Great question. Any other? Larry, just hack. We go. Good to have you on the board. Any other questions? Other than that, there's no vote needed to be taken on this item. Is that correct?
You just need a motion in a second to move it to the full board next week.
Okay. All right. Then motion to move it to the full board. Is there a second? Thank you, Kathy. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Anyone opposing? We'll move it to the full board.
100%. Woohoo!
That was it, Miss Gwen.
That was it. That's why I said Brendan left me in good hands. Okay. All right. Motion to adjourn the meeting then?
So moved.
Oh, good. Is there a second for that? All right, been moved in second, and this meeting is officially adjourned. And again, I too welcome all the new members to the board. Look forward to working with everyone. This is an exciting time and a different time. The whole 2020 changed the way we operated. So it's a unique time for us. So I want to thank everyone for being here this morning. With nothing else to do, the meeting is officially adjourned.